A lovely family movie about a shell with shoes. Let's talk Marcel, the shell with shoes on. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm going to talk to you about Marcel, the Shell with Shoes On, which is coming to New York and LA on June 24, 2022. It's coming wider release later. DC will probably come sometime in July. It is a movie by Dean Fleischer Camp, based on some characters he created with, among other people, Jenny Slate. It is about this. It started off as this kind of like, I think, YouTube short, essentially, of this stop motion animated shell, and now it has grown into a full featured movie. And my hot take is, I think you should watch it. It's between a watch and a rental, but ultimately I think you should watch it. It has just a wonderful kind of like sense of wonder and charm that when you see everything through the eyes of this little like animated shell. It is beautifully animated. It has some really great kind of cinematography. It's a little bit slow, and I think my kids got a little bored, even though the film is kind of billed for all ages. I thought that my kids got a little bit bored with it, but overall, it is a very beautiful film, and I just love seeing stop motion animation, and the way that they kind of interact with the real world is very interesting to see. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the film, a few things I liked and a few things I didn't like. So, like I said, in Marcel, the Shell with Shoes On, you have Marcel, who is this cute shell with like one eye that lives in this house that used to have people in it, but has since been kind of abandoned. He lives there with his grandma, Connie, and they kind of eke out an existence, just, scavenging what they have. Sometimes they'll garden, they interact with the various things in the house. Eventually, the owners of the house, who left abruptly, Airbnb it. And that's when he meets Dean, who's a filmmaker who rents out this house. He's going through a tough time in life, and so he's renting out this house while he looks for a new place. And he meets Marcel, and he starts making movies about him, making like little videos about Marcel and his life. And as he learns more and more about Marcel, he wants to help him more. We find out that Marcel has lost his family. They were all living together in this house. And one night when the owners of the house had a fight and one of them left, he accidentally took the rest of Marcel's family with him. And the more that Dean learns about Marcel, the more he wants to help him find his family. His family disappeared a little bit ago, and he doesn't know where they are. And he goes on this quest to reunite them. So, things I liked about this movie. The first is, I'll just call it the sense of wonder. Like, this movie is set in the real world, but it stars this like little shell who's an inch tall, and it has this wonderful perspective on the house and life and things like that. Like the way that these little shell characters use everyday objects and everyday things is just really fun to see. It's kind of like any sort of animated film, like The Secret World of Ariadne, or I think The Borrowers is similar. Marcel takes real world objects and repurposes them in very imaginative ways. So like all of their chairs are like are champagne toppers that have been twisted out into like a chair type format, or like he walks along the walls by like jumping in honey and then using that to stick along the walls so you can go up and get stuff. He has all sorts of little fun, innovative things that he does to survive, and it's really great to see. And I love seeing them animated and seeing like the way the camera like really lets you live in this world. And I love all these little touches that that help like make Marcel's world come alive. The second thing I really love is the humor. There is a very great kind of like childlike humor in this film. Like, Marcel is a kid, and so when he's talking to Dean about life and about things that Dean is doing, or things that Dean says, some of the things that Marcel says are very funny because they're kind of like viewed through this childlike lens. Like, and so there will be like some, I don't know, gross things like that could potentially be gross, but Marcel doesn't see them that way. Or there are things that Dean will say or practice that he does that Marcel just doesn't understand, and so he'll say something that is silly, but from his childlike perspective, it's, it would make perfect sense. And so that's a lot of the humor in this film. That's a lot of the way that the film kind of makes you laugh, and it is a very funny film. And the last thing I really liked are the real world interactions. I mean, this is a stop motion animated film, but it is a stop motion animated film that takes place kind of in the real world. And so you'll see, Marcel move about, and then sometimes like Dean will help him, or Marcel will interact with other people in the world. And it's really fun to see, this like stop motion animation style on top of like a real world film. And on top of like the real world aspect, it also brings in some concepts of the real world into this film. Like, you have social media. Eventually Dean's videos go up on YouTube, and so you see kind of people interacting in that respect. And you also see kind of Marcel interacting with more modern technology. He's been in this house, and his family the extent of their technology had been like watching the TV. And now when Dean comes in and starts showing him like a computer and the internet, you do get some fun interactions there as well. I really loved how it kind of tied modern life into this like childlike world that Marcel lives in. So things I didn't love as much about this movie. The first is, look, it's a pretty slow film. I mean, part of that is the stop motion animation style. Part of that is the way that the storytelling happens, but it goes pretty slowly. And I appreciate a lot about it, but there were some parts where I was just bored, like just bored because I was waiting for things to happen. And it's fine. Like the film ultimately comes together and is just a beautiful work. But if you're expecting something that will like really keep your interest, this might not be for you. The other thing I didn't really love is it's kind of a kids movie, and my kids seem to like it, but I could also tell at times they were bored. There's not like a ton to keep them entertained. It's really fun to see how Marcel like interacts with things and how he like views the world and how he survives and gets by in this house. But it also has some, somewhat serious subject matter. Nothing is overly serious for kids. It's fine. But to me, it was more of like an artsy kind of film that has a childlike wonder versus like a movie specifically for kids. So that is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. It comes to New York and LA theaters on June 24th, 2022. It'll get a wider release after. I expect it to come to DC sometime in early July. But just keep an eye out for it. It is a really interesting film. It's very beautiful. It has this kind of fun humor, and it's definitely an accomplishment given like the size of the group that made it. So ultimately, I think you should check it out. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Our Past. Today I'm going to talk to you about Marcel the Cell. So that is Marcel the Cell. So that is Marcel the.